Also in June for the Dreamcast, Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Hey, Vince.
I'm gonna take you for a ride.
Absolutely fantastic. The just spectacular music in that game. And the last thing in the world you expected when you started it up. But yeah, came out on the Dreamcast in June.
A beautiful, beautiful system that's very near and dear to my heart for many reasons.
So why should we love Marvel vs. Capcom 2?
So the thing about Marvel vs. Capcom 2, more than anything, in terms of numbers, okay, fighting games at this time generally have like 15 characters, 20 characters, maybe at most. Like there's other games in the Versus series. Then Marvel vs. Capcom 2 comes in and just tips the scale at 52 characters. Even today, no fighting game launches with that many characters. Like maybe like Street Fighter 4 now near the end of its life in Ultra, having added characters is like close to that. But it's still not 52
That's
characters.
what happened when you popped the disc in.
Yeah.
Exactly.
If 52 characters, has anyone ever gone through and assigned them like deck of cards?
Oh, wow,
like,
yeah.
Who would the 4 aces of Marvel vs. Capcom be?
Okay,
who would be the kings, the queens,
right,
the jacks,
so the aces,
the Joker?
So the aces will be Storm, Magneto, Sentinel, and Cable.
There you go.
That would probably be the ones you'd call because those 4 characters, especially the first 3 I named, made up the. So by the end of competitive Marvel, because Marvel, it comes out in 2000,
right.
and this is kind of like, as we were talking before, this is kind of the end of the boom of fighting games as a mainstream thing. That started really with Street Fighter 2 in the early 90s.
MVC 2 and then maybe Soul Calibur 2 is kind of the last gasp.
It's the end of those being like mainstream popular, but at the same time, it was a booming time in a lot of ways for the competitive scene.
Right.
This is where Justin Wong establishes himself as a legend, dominating the game for 10 years.
Yep.
And it had a healthy meta that just kept evolving and evolving and evolving. And the amazing thing about this is the exact opposite of Diablo 2. So when we talk about Diablo 2 getting better and better because of all of this support from the developer, Marvel vs. Capcom 2 became a better and better game, not from support from Capcom, because there weren't patches. It was a console game. You didn't patch it. It became better because people discovered things, they refined things, they experimented, they put together different combinations of characters you never would have thought of.
And they could do that because it was such a gloriously unbalanced mess. I mean, that's the thing about MVC. MVC 2 it's just an absolute grease fire. Except that the smoke that rises up from it is just so succulent.
So good. It smells so
it's
good.
such a great game.
And that's the thing is that people, as the fighting game guy here, people often come to me and they come with the assumption, and it's an understandable one, like people who take fighting games seriously and pros and stuff, they want the most like balanced game. Like so Street Fighter 4, Super Street Fighter 4 was probably the most balanced version of Street Fighter 4.
Yeah.
And pros hated it. It was boring. Everyone looks back at Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and they go, it was a silly broken game with a bunch of weird glitches and infinites and moves that did in order, like Tron Bonne, from the the Adventures of Tron Bonne.
Yep.
She was in that game and she wasn't a great character on point like in the game, but if you assigned her, one of her assists was this little like sonic ring laser that just inexplicably did like 20% of a character's health bar just by hitting you with it. So you would just work it into a combo and like you didn't even need to use a super. It was just like you just did a bunch of stuff and then comboed into the assist, and for whatever reason it just did like silly amounts of damage. But my big thing that I remember about my big story, if I can give one, with Marvel is that it was the first time I looked at a game and said the software is the software, but 2 people can be playing an actually different game. Like I thought I was really good at it.
Yeah.
I had a really well optimized team, and I played Jill Valentine, Captain Commando, and Cable was my team. Cable was my anchor, and I put together a tournament because I ran a video game club in college, and I put together a tournament, and everyone was like, "Oh, Vince is gonna win, but we should all play and it'll be fun." And this one guy named Chad had gone online. I'd never done this. He went online and he looked up videos of what the pros were doing.
Okay.
And he didn't have the execution to like do their combos. What he did know how to do easily was he knew how to play Sentinel.
Yep.
So he took Sentinel, he would fly, he would go to the top of the screen because the camera would follow him. So all that was on screen was Sentinel up in the air, and then he would just call his assists.
over and
over again, and I'm just literally just having to block things that I literally can't see them.
Yeah.
And the match went for like the maximum time limit, and I almost tagged him, but I'd never seen anyone, I never even thought of breaking the game in that way.
And there were so many different ways to do it.
Yeah.
And that's what made it fun. Yeah, Chad, if you're watching,
this is
you
Chad.
broke things. There we are.